March 11th, 2011, enormous waves reaching up to 130 feet tall devastated the coast of Japan. Ships sailed through the streets and crashed into people's houses, and as you can see here, homes were turned into islands as heaps of rubble burned around them. It all began with the collision of the Pacific and North American plates. The Pacific plate, shown in dark green, is mostly ocean, and it's subducting underneath the North American plate, which is shown in purple. Usually that process is quite slow, but on March 11th, the plate slipped by as much as 15 to 30 feet. The earthquake occurred in the ocean at a depth of 29 kilometers, but the shock waves spread out across Japan. And here's a seismograph from a measuring station near the earthquake. It measures the movement of the ground in hertz. Just as we would measure the frequency of light or sound in hertz or cycles per second, we can measure the vibration of the ground in cycles per second as well. The earthquake was an immense magnitude 9.1, the third largest earthquake recorded since 1900. But the worst was still to come. You can imagine what happens to the ocean when the sea floor rises and falls by 15 to 30 feet. Huge tsunami waves spread out across the Pacific Ocean, and marine facilities were damaged as far as California. But Japan saw the worst of it. In Japan, the highest wave was estimated to be 130 feet tall. If we could take that wave and teleport it to NC State's campus, it would probably be taller than every single building, even washing over the top of the Hill Library.
With an earthquake of this size and magnitude, plus a large tsunami sweeping through the area afterwards, the damage was very catastrophic, and in fact, the death toll was in the thousands. And in the end, around 16,000 people lost their lives not only due to the earthquake, but also in addition to the tsunami that came through the area. Over 2,000 people went missing, and over 6,000 people were injured by the end of the event. Now, the damage to homes and buildings were also catastrophic. Over 123,000 homes were demolished and damaged to almost 1 million more. And it is important to point out that 98% of the damage actually came from the 130-foot generated tsunami that was talked about earlier, and the damage estimated for buildings and houses is at an estimated approximation between 200 and 300 billion.
The 2011 earthquake also had 3 major environmental effects. First, it changed the types of animals found in intertidal flats. One study found that after the earthquake, 47% of the native fauna had disappeared. One of the casualties was Macoma incongrua, the clam pictured here. Second, the tsunami negatively affected plant life. All that seawater left salt for miles inland. Farmers would have to pump the salt out of their fields before they could plant crops again. Finally, the tsunami caused a nuclear disaster at the Fukushima nuclear reactor. The tsunami damaged the reactor's cooling system, but nuclear decay continued inside the reactor. The heat built up, and eventually the reactor overheated, and several explosions released radioactive material into the water and atmosphere. In the end, a large area had to be evacuated, and 143 square miles remain abandoned even to this present day.
As we are winding down this video, here are a few key points to keep in mind. First and foremost, in the tsunami's aftermath, Japan's meteorological agency was actually criticized for issuing an initial tsunami warning that underestimated the size of the wave. Another key fact to keep in mind is that after buildings were destroyed by the tsunami, gases, hundreds and thousands of ozone-destroying chemicals and greenhouse gases were actually released in the air. Very, very bad. And lastly, more than 5,000 aftershocks struck Japan in the year following the earthquake, the largest of which was a magnitude 7.9 earthquake.